5 science-approved ways to break a bad habit. Having habits can often be a good thing. When you drive to work, for example, you don't need to wonder whether you should turn left or right, the route becomes habit. Since habits take practice and repetition to form, the same is true when it comes to breaking them. Sync your stress levels. Many habits, including smoking or excess sugar consumption, involve the brain's dopamine, or reward, system. Dopamine is a feel-good chemical that transmits signals between neurons in the brain. The first time you engage in a new, rewarding behavior, you get a euphoric feeling from doing it as a result of a dopamine release, notes Poldrack. This leads to changes in both the connections between neurons and the brain systems responsible for actions, and can largely account for why we start to form bad habits in the first place. Know your cues. Habits, Berkman says, have 3 main parts: a cue, a routine, and a reward. Cues are the context where you tend to engage in the behavior. If you're a smoker, for example, the cue might be work breaks. If you're a dessert aficionado, it might be simply scouring the dessert menu. You're most likely to relapse in the context of when you've done it before. Capitalizing on major life changes can also help break an unhealthy habit. While you might think a cross-country move or a new job is no time to introduce even more changes into your life, Berkman notes that shifts in lifestyle can actually be the ideal opportunity for eliminating a vice. You're going into new contexts and situations, so you don't have those same cues. It's a chance to form new habits. Replace a bad habit with a good one. Instead of trying to stop doing something, it's hard to stop a behavior. Start doing something else. We are action-oriented creatures. Some studies have shown that the more you suppress your thoughts, the more likely you are to think about that thought or even revert back to that bad habit. A 2008 study in appetite found that those who suppressed their thoughts about eating chocolate exhibited a behavioral rebound effect, where they consumed significantly more chocolate than those who didn't. Similarly, a 2010 study published in Psychological Science found that smokers who tried to restrain their thoughts about smoking wound up thinking about it even more. Have a better reason for quitting. Even if you replace a bad habit with a better one, sometimes the original vice will have a stronger biological reward than its substitute. For example, your brain knows that gum is not nicotine and therefore won't produce the same euphoric feeling that smoking a cigarette would. This is where the importance of having an intrinsic motivation comes into play. Set better goals, rather than focusing on a more general goal like, "I will not grab a cookie on the way out of the cafeteria." Poldrack suggests imagining more specifically how you'll implement this goal into your daily life. Examining how you've responded to the situation in the past, and determining what you can do to avoid the cookies in the future, might be all it takes to break the habit, says. This may mean simply not walking by the rack of sweets itself.